All right. So I think on this one we're going to do something a little different. In one of my first videos, I mentioned income, and that seems to be something that we're all struggling with a little bit potentially here over the past couple of years with inflation and everything, and people having to get multiple jobs, whether that's multiple full-time jobs, which is a little crazy, or at least a part-time job to accompany a full-time job, or multiple part-time jobs. Plus, I guess you can throw side hustles and other things in there, just do anything to kind of keep up with the cost of living or kind of maintain the same level of purchasing power they've had over the years. And it seems like that's kind of a struggle. Sometimes it's easier for certain people depending on your skill set, background, location, a bunch of factors. So when I was thinking about trying to add to my household income, one of the things were all the things that you could potentially kind of run through your head. Again, a side business, probably start as a side hustle, and then you turn into a side business, or was one of the avenues I was looking at. And I was thinking about that over, say, an additional part-time job simply because of the time and the actual return on it. To me, it was this one. It really didn't seem like the juice was worth the squeeze. I mean, if you have to pay your bills, you have to pay your bills. That's obviously a different story. But then when I was doing some research on some of that stuff, I was kind of wondering, was that even really worth the squeeze? I mean, you see behind me, again, bench 3D printer. It's like that's one of the things I was originally considering, taking a hobby and trying to do something with that, make some money with it to, again, help pay bills, pay down debt, save, build wealth, the usual stuff. But ultimately, when you look at it, it's like trying to build up a small business. It's like a normal 9 to 5. I mean, that already takes away a significant amount of time in your day doing that. And again, with my wife working and everything, we don't actually get a huge amount of time together during the week when you think about it. And I imagine that's the same for a lot of people. So after pondering about that and small things where it's like it didn't really matter what the side business was, the time commitment, because to get a small business up and running, again, it's a serious time sink, not to mention probably the capital sink you're going to have to put into it to, again, potentially get it to work, maybe, because again, there's still a chance it may not work. So I kind of scrapped that idea, and over the past decade or so, I've been dabbling in the stock market, day trading, swing trading, and things like that. And I was kind of doing it as a hobby and teaching myself, and eventually got to the point where it's like, it's kind of time to make a decision in terms of, does this stay a hobby, or do you, again, start making it more committed, serious stab at it and treat it like a profession? And that's kind of the direction I ultimately ended up going in. So I've been getting coached on and off the entire time, but more consistently over the past 18 months or so. And my coach has kind of a program used to help, train new and struggling traders. And I would definitely count myself amongst the struggling traders out there. To, again, help them kind of sort their self out so they can actually have a good shot at being successful at being, a trader. And, well, I guess let's define what successful is, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions on that. Most day traders that are successful probably only bring in, I think the statistics on average are in between 100 and 120,000 a year from that. So it's not like you're making buku dollars like a lot of the ones that post fancy, flashy P&Ls on YouTube and TikTok and Twitter and all over the place on the internet. Most of the time it's it's still a good, was a good income just a few years ago, but now is not so much. So it's one of those things where, but again, it's one of those things where it's good most people do, again, use an extra 100, 1,000 a year. I know I could use, hell, a fraction of that would actually go a long way. So I've been doing that program for the past 18 months to sort out my trading to help, again, get further on that journey. And it's been going fairly well. And one of the big reasons why, again, I'll kind of swing back to this part, is the time. Like, you think about what it takes to start and run a brick and mortar-ish, even if it's out of your home, side business, or an actual small business. You're talking what? You're going to be basically living there probably 60 to 80 hours a week, getting this thing really up and running. And then when it is, say it does succeed and is just operating as an own business, again, it's still a lot of time commitment there. Versus with trading, it's like hour at night looking at things, plus an hour before the market opens and an hour during the actual live session. So you're talking all in all, I would say, even at night, maybe not a full hour, like 2.5 to 3 hours worth of quote unquote work to actually make, percentage wise, a decent return for the time involved, which is kind of the interesting thing about that. Because if it can replace, if you be consistent with it and replace your income, all other incomes with that, think about it. It's like you're done working, quote unquote, after a couple hours of work in the morning. And I'm on the West Coast, so it's one of those things where the stock market opens at 6:30 in the morning. So it's like, do you imagine being done working at 8:30 in the morning and you can go and enjoy the rest of your day, do whatever the hell you want, while living a good life? So again, there's some serious appeal to that side of it. And that's not to try and sell you on this. It's extremely difficult to be successful at this. It's one of those things where it's like anyone that thinks that they can jump into this and be like super successful or make a shit ton of money right off the rip, it's like, if anyone tells you that, they're lying. And you're probably not going to learn anything. You're probably going to lose that money and blow up your account. But there is serious opportunity there to where you basically are your own boss and you set your own hours, more or less. The market does kind of set that one part of it. But again, it's like you have the potential to really get some freedom back along with making a decent living. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, with those two things coupled together, that was almost a no-brainer at that point. Again, way different time commitment with way more upside and significantly less overhead. So, like I said, I've been doing this program for 18 months now, and it's been revealing, to say the least. It's been successful. It's definitely gone a lot slower. Like, I've progressed a lot slower than I thought I would. But again, that's on me, and kind of my hangups and stuff like that. And everyone's kind of unique in that sense. Like, if you were to try this, it's like you're going to learn a lot of neat and interesting things about yourself. Some of them you won't like, honestly. It's like you have a toxic relationship with money. It's like, it'll show it. Are you greedy? It'll show it. It's like one of those things. Are you extremely emotional? It'll show it, because just dealing with money in the stock market, it's like, it can show you a lot about yourself that you may not necessarily even like. So it's one of those things where, again, not necessarily a bad thing, because it helps you identify those issues and sort them out and then move forward. So to give you guys an idea of like what this looks like, I can show it to you. Let's see here. So again, start with kind of the look at the program. So this is basically my account and the progress I've been making on it over the past, like I said, 18 months. And the way this works is you start with a $2,500 cash account, no margin. Very, very explicit there, no margin. And then you go through different stages of this program and different steps to basically build up your size of your account, which lets you take more size in trades incrementally. It is a very, very incremental process. So you don't get too far in front of your skis and damage your account. I mean, drawdowns, I mean, that's a typical thing in this process. And you can look at mine, you can see different drawdowns at different stages. But it's one of those things, for the time that I've been doing this, to start with a $2,500 account, and at this point now, as of today, would be 8,300. I mean, if you do the math in terms of percentage, I mean, that's a decent return. And you can see the areas that I've struggled with and discovered different issues at different points in this program. We'll see drawdowns, or you see it chops a little bit, but again, as you figure things out, again, it kind of moves on to the next step. You kind of take a leg up, the account grows, and that's kind of what you want to see. And honestly, it's not that it's easy. It's not. It's probably one of the hardest professions out there, but it has gotten significantly easier as the time and experience and working through these issues has been done. So with that, I mean, this growth has basically been done with trading options, 0 DTE options on SPY and Qs. Just these two tickers, nothing else, day in, day out. And it works. I mean, it's a very simple strategy. I won't get into the nitty gritty of that, at least in this video. But yeah, it's one of those things where there's some real potential here for additional income, almost all the way up to the point where it replaces or exceeds your 9 to 5 income. So it's one of those things where if you're interested in, again, maybe an alternative form or stream of income, like one of those things, like, I would say you'd almost be foolish to not try this. I mean, I guess it really depends on you and if you have any level of interest. But again, it's one of the things, I don't know of many other things that give you this kind of opportunity for, again, a relatively small capital investment. I mean, hell, trying to start a small business, you're probably going to put way more capital at risk than you would here. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least you learn that. And again, you probably learn some things about yourself. And again, the upside potential of this is huge. But again, it's like one thing, you can't be greedy. You can't be money focused. You got to do it right. And again, that's why I feel like if you were to try and do this, it's like, get a coach. And that in of itself, like finding a good coach, is going to be like pulling teeth, because there aren't a lot of good ones out there, and there are a lot of scammers. So just a word of warning there. Do your due diligence. If you want a recommendation in terms of like the person I use, you can message me and I'll give that to you. I'm not just going to put him out there, because it's one of those things, like, I don't want him necessarily getting flooded and getting pissed at me because it's a bunch of randos that start showing up. And it's not free. Again, I'll tell you that right now. I pay about $260 a month for the coaching. So it's one of those things where it's like not free. It's not cheap either, but the potential there is something to consider. And on top of that, it's like I've also, again, started really committing and expanding into swing trading. So it's one of those things where, again, trying to almost double dip here, where, again, you can day trade and swing trade. So again, trying to attack this almost on two fronts, with two different approaches to make an increased level of income off of this. And the way, again, he explains it to me and the other traders he coaches is, again, you can use day trading to pay your bills, and then use swing trading to build wealth. And there's similarities and differences between the two. So it's one of those things where you just can't apply one to the other. Some of it does overlap, some of it does not. But yeah, it's one of those things where I figured I'd share that. Probably do like some trade recaps here in the future to kind of go a little more in depth on terms of like, what does this look like? on a day-to-day basis. Like, just like I give you guys a quick idea of like, what is this? It's like what you see on your screen right here between these two tickers is basically these blue levels, light blue levels, get determined before the market even opens. Start the night before to kind of see, again, where we might open and close and different technical levels that might be interesting to watch, and then see what the market does, gap up, gap down, go sideways, pre-market, and then basically build trade plans around those levels, where to go long, where to go short. Since you're using options, you can do that. It's one of those things where a call and a put, just ways to play the direction. And honestly, getting into the strategy of this, like for how simple it is and how effective it is, yeah, it works. And again, it's like, as someone who's fairly skeptical, as just being kind of naturally who I am, I was fairly shocked at like just how simple the strategy is and how well it works for just plotting out simple technical levels, reading price action, and then the real crux of it is working through your own emotional issues in terms of like hesitation, FOMO, things like that, that kind of really will screw with your head. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, if you start getting that, working through those issues, if you have them and getting them under control, it's like, you'd be amazed at how simple this is and how effective it is for actually potentially generating some serious income once you put in the time and the effort to build, grow an account, and educate yourself and build up that experience. And it's like, sky's the limit. It really is. So figured I'd share that with you guys. Like I said, I'll probably do some more formal like trade recaps and stuff like that in terms of like on a day-to-day basis to see if you guys, again, might glean something from it, or again, it helps me go over my own trades during the day. That way it's one of those things where it's like, again, a bit of self-reflection and kind of just documenting the process. I mean, the past 18 months, it's been a hell of a journey, not gonna lie, and looking forward to, again, this next year where it's going to be even more interesting. So yeah, that's all I got for the most part. So I figured I'd share that with you guys. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, am I wrong here in terms of like what I'm chasing for a potential alternative realm of or stream of income? I mean, I just, of everything that I've looked at, it's just the potential here versus everything else and the time and the effort. I just have not been able to find something that matches it. So with that being said, I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.